So, Brianna Lyston has opened her 2025 track and field season, and guess what the consensus is? The consensus is that she looks as smooth as butter. As a matter of fact, she participated in 2 60-meter races, and in those races, she looked absolutely stunning. And it seems as if she was running very, very conservatively, as if she was hiding her true speed. She looked really, really well tuned so far, and that's just the first couple of races for her 2025 season. Now, because of this, there are so many people who are so optimistic and they are thinking about what the 2025 track and field season could mean for Brianna Lyston and Jamaica. But for me, there is a big but. While I'm not going to say that I'm not optimistic, I will have to say that I'm concerned, or if you want to put it, worried for Brianna Lyston. And here's why. When I consider the 2025 track and field season that's laid out before her, when I think about the collegiate circuit and how demanding that is going to be on these athletes, and now specifically Brianna Lyston, I am super worried. Now, for many of us, we don't want to admit that burnout is a real thing, but in every other aspect of life, burnout is real. So when it comes down to track and field, why do we behave as if it's not possible for these athletes to be burnt out? I need somebody to answer that question. Now, this argument about athletes overworking and being burnt out is a thing that has been circulating in the track and field space for a while now, especially in Jamaica. When we think about the boys and girls championships in Jamaica, many people have been arguing for a while now that they think that the young athletes are doing too many races, and at the end of the day, we see where these athletes are not able to progress from the junior stage to the professional level. Now, when you examine this argument, you have to say that it looks as if it's real. Let's take, for example, some of the big name athletes coming out of the boys and girls championships in Jamaica. We're seeing where some of these athletes, after champs, it's only a matter of time before they fade into the shadows. Now, when you look at it, it would seem as if that the athletes who are performing at the highest level, they are more likely to be the ones who don't progress or don't live up to the expectation of everyone else. Of course, they have the right to choose whether or not they want to progress to a certain level in track and field, but that's beside the point. What I'm trying to point out, for those top name athletes who leave the boys and girls championships and are trying to make a name for themselves on the big stage, many a times they don't make it. There are so many examples out there. If I should start calling names right now, they were excellent at the boys and girls championships, but just a few years later and they are struggling. Now, what we're seeing sometimes is that the athletes who don't do so well at champs, or they don't run as much, they are the ones who would come out to dominate and to do well. And the reason probably could be that the star athletes, they are overworking themselves, or they are doing too much too soon. So, balancing the argument, when we look back at Brianna Lyston, she's coming out of the boys and girls championships here in Jamaica. She did extremely well. She was one of those persons who will be all over the place racing, and of course she did extremely well. Now she has moved over to the collegiate circuit, where she's participating in the NCAA championship for her college. And of course, this competition is very, very similar to the boys and girls championships here in Jamaica. So can you just imagine, after working so hard at the boys and girls championships, she's going to work so hard again at the collegiate circuit before she fully moves into doing it at the top level where all the professionals are. And that's the reason why I'm so worried, because after champs, after the collegiate circuit, how will she perform on the bigger stage after all these years of running so much? The reality is, athletes can become burnt out. And let me point out some persons for you. Let's look back for some popular names in the NCAA. Can you recall names such as Matthew Bowling, Abby Steiner? Those two athletes, they were very, very dominant on the collegiate circuit. But right now, the question is, where are they? They're like smoke in the wind. So it would have appeared that they worked so hard representing their schools, and now they're having a very, very hard time transitioning to the big stage where it really matters. So I hope that Brianna Lyston does not sacrifice something in the short term for what could be an excellent career going forward. That's a huge gamble. I would have preferred to see her do fewer races now, and in the future I know that there is something in the tank that she can offer. Brianna Lyston was setting records from as early as 12 years old. She was running times that some adults were not capable of running. So can you just imagine the future that's ahead of her right now? She has the potential to be the female version of Usain Bolt. That's what we're looking at. Another thing that bothers me is that last year, when you look at Brianna Lyston's season, she performed all season long, and guess what? Coming to the latter part of her season, she would have been running with tape on her leg to show how demanding the circuit is, and she was still running. But yet still, when push came to shove, she was unable to turn up for the national trials in Jamaica. But she worked super hard on the circuit and she got injured. This is why I am worried. But I still want to stay optimistic. I still want to stay positive, wishing her all the best. Because man, she's a super runner. She has great potential ahead of her.